Hello and welcome to this vlog post. I'm narrator Rebecca McKernan, and today I'll be sharing with you an audiobook written by one of my favourite people to work with. This is Arabella's Taming, written by Golden Angel. This is book 5 in Angel's Bridal Discipline series, and I've narrated 2.5 of them. But if by the time you finish listening to this whole series you are abuzz with unanswered questions, never fear, friends, for Angel is writing a spin-off series to accompany this, because I think you will have a lot of characters that you would like to find out what happens to. So, without further ado, I shall read to you. Oh, actually, first of all, I shall apologise in advance for any noises that aren't coming out of my mouth or any part of me. I have 2 dogs in this room, a puppy and an old dog, and they are both very noisy. One is snoring and the other is chewing my hand, so sorry for any squeaks you may hear. This is the back of Golden Angel's Arabella's Taming, and it's a beautifully crafted book inside and out, as are all of her books. Lady Arabella Wyndham, sister to the Duke of Manchester, has given up on ever attracting the positive attention of Lord Thomas Hood. After discovering he still sees her as the same hoydenish young woman she was in the past, no matter her current perfectly ladylike behaviour, and realising she will never match up to his infamous list of attributes for a wife, she throws caution to the wind and becomes more reckless than ever. Why bother being good if it's not going to even be noticed, much less acknowledged? When her return to feckless and indiscreet behaviour results in disgrace, however, it's Lord Thomas Hood who is caught up in the scandal with her. With a strong-willed bride determined to make her new husband dance to her tune, and a stubborn lord determined to curb his new wife's imprudent ways, is a happily ever after even possible? This is the last book in the Bridal Discipline series, and contains a strong alpha male, a sassy and rebellious heroine, and some heavy-handed and fun discipline. Now, without wanting to jump on this high horse which is sat right next to me, I will really try to avoid doing so. If this is your first experience, or one of your earlier experiences with BDSM, either reading or taking part in, and previous experiences consist mostly of high-profile examples of BDSM, this is a much truer representation of how BDSM really is and should be portrayed. It's loving and kind and consensual, and if BDSM isn't loving and kind and consensual, it could be considered to be abuse. I'm just putting it out there, because I think it's important that things like this are portrayed accurately. So I think I did a good job of leaving the horse on the side there, and with that in mind I shall read you the first couple of pages of Golden Angel's Arabella's Taming profile. That's not the word I was looking for. Prologue. Sorry, my dog just jumped. I'll just show you her because she's very, very sweet. This is Freddie, everybody. She bites everything. Faces are a personal favourite, and she's currently going to try and eat this book. Prologue. Godmother. She was going to be a godmother. Unfortunately, the excitement and joy coursing through Arabella was somewhat muted by the current health concerns over the grandfather of the baby. Her best friend Gabrielle had called upon Arabella when her father-in-law had collapsed before breakfast. Viscount Hood's heart was the cause, although he was still alive and currently expected to recover. As an orphan, Gabrielle had been overcome with emotion at the prospect of losing a man who had become like a father to her. Once Gabrielle had been comforted, she and Felix had revealed Gabrielle's delicate condition, a source of joy among the anxiety, which was also when they'd asked her to be godmother to their child. The very thought made Arabella smile as she walked down the hall towards the library, where she presumed her older brother was. Isaac had escorted her to Hood House, but upon their arrival he'd gone to talk with Thomas, Felix's eldest brother. Thomas also happened to be the man she'd fallen in love with, and spent the entire season attempting to show that she could be the perfect wife. It hadn't been easy, as his requirements were not at all in line with her personality, but her sister-in-law Lydia had talked to her about having a private and public face. Arabella had done her best to push her wilder antics out of the public eye, rather than flaunting them, and she'd earned the approval of quite a few of the stodgier grand dames this season. Perhaps that was why Felix had agreed to her as godmother, she mused, knowing quite well that he had originally felt she and Gabrielle were not the best influences on each other. They had gotten into rather a lot of trouble together their first season. The low roll of deep voices coming from the closed door of the study confirmed Arabella's guess of where her brother and Thomas had retreated to. They were good friends after all, so she was sure Isaac was doing his best to be supportive of the other man, especially since Isaac knew exactly what it felt like to lose a father and be thrust into a title too young. Thankfully, it hadn't come to that yet for Thomas. She was about to knock when she heard Walter, the middle brother of the three Hood brothers, calling out what sounded like a toast. "The quest for the perfect wife. Thomas's personal holy grail." Immediately she snatched her hand back before she could touch the doorknob and alert any of the gentlemen to her presence. Whoever responded spoke low enough she couldn't quite hear them, and she crouched down so her ear could hover outside of the keyhole. Arabella was quite good at listening at keyholes. She'd had a fair bit of practice. "I already have several possibilities in mind," Thomas said, obviously responding to his brother. Excitement raced through Arabella, although she felt a bit peeved about hearing he had several candidates. That was a bit lowering. She bit her lip as he continued. "With father's health in mind, I've decided I will spend the next few weeks ascertaining which lady is most suited to me, and make an offer by the end of this season." Arabella's competitive nature immediately surfaced, as did a rush of sudden anxiety. She had pined after Thomas for over a year now. To know he was going to decide on a bride by the end of the month, well, that was both exciting and nerve-wracking. "Don't suppose my sister might be one of them?" her brother asked, and Arabella thought she'd never loved her brother more than she did at this moment. Then he went and ruined it. "I'd really prefer not to suffer through a third season with her as a debutante." Suffer through? Arrogant nodcock. She'd show him suffering. But her riled temper at his words was nothing compared to what came next. "Absolutely not," Thomas replied immediately, so severely it felt like an actual blow to Arabella's chest. "We would not suit at all." "Why not?" Walter asked, echoing the question crying out in her head. Why not? How could he think that? She's beautiful, accomplished, knows how to run a household, is actually an experienced hostess unlike the other Debs, and can carry on an intelligent conversation, something else which is in short supply. If there had been an ounce of romantic spark between herself and Walter, she might have switched her affections between brothers right then and there. Unfortunately, there had never been anything between them but friendliness. Her temper had already been piqued by her brother's comment about suffering through a season with her, and Thomas's immediate rejection. The next few minutes sent her into such a fury, it was amazing she didn't spontaneously combust like a firework at Thomas's response. She's also brazenly outspoken, prone to melodrama, often insultingly direct, far too used to being the centre of attention, demanding, hoydenish, and spoiled. Here now, she's gotten quite a bit better this year, especially with Lydia steering her season, Isaac protested, which was the only thing which would later save him from Arabella's full ire. Although his defence wasn't everything she might expect from her older brother, at least he wasn't remaining entirely silent. She's barely made any real waves at all. So I've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left before I have to end this. That was the first couple of pages of Golden Angel's Arabella's Taming, the final book in her Bridal Discipline series, and you can hear the whole series on Amazon and Audible. I'll pop the Audible links below this video. I am Rebecca McKernan. You can find me at RebeccaMcKernan.com and on Twitter and Facebook at Becca Tales Tales. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time. Mwah.